Y'all, Christmas might have come early because today we need to talk about maybe the most hype spoiler I have ever seen. So today, right, Wizard101 posted on social media a spoiler of upcoming content, and it looks like they're revamping Aquila. I'm really excited about this. This is a wizard accessing the Mount Olympus sigil, but it turns red, meaning they're going to be adding challenge mode to probably every dungeon in Aquila. Now, the caption is also really exciting. They're saying that we are going to be taking on the immortals and reaping the new spoils, meaning there's probably new gear, new items, new stuff to get that we haven't had access to before. And even in the teaser, it looks like the person entering the sigil is wearing an entirely new gear set. Now, I'm gonna be very, very honest with you. I feel like they've had some hits and misses with challenge mode before. Some of the challenge modes are cool, some of them are really bad. And I think it would be a massive disservice to Aquila if they don't do this right. This is probably one of my most favorite updates of all time. So today I wanted to talk about all the things that I hope we see. So in case y'all are confused about challenge mode, just to start off, what this will probably look like is a level scaled with new cheats probably version of all of these iconic dungeons that level 170s are supposed to do. We actually saw them do this kind of recently with Arc 3 bosses. They took a bunch of the final, like, you know, big bads of those worlds. They added like a rematch and added a challenge mode to it, and they attached some pretty cool cosmetics if you actually do all of the challenge modes from Arc 3. Now, while I actually didn't mind the cosmetics, they're actually kind of cool. Maybe one day I'll go for them. One thing that I think a lot of people did not appreciate is that, for example, right, let's say that you went through the trouble of doing a more challenging version of Grandfather Spider as a level 170. The rewards were just a set that we've already seen multiple reskins of. We've seen this exact set. It used to be the Wastelander set, but now, you know, there's like 3 other reskinned versions of it. But for doing a challenging version of Grandfather Spider, all you were getting is the Wastelander set with 1 item card swapped out. I think the way they left Aquila after level 90 was so crazy that hopefully now that they're revisiting it, they don't just repeat the mistakes of previous challenge modes. One, what I really hope that they're going to be doing is making it so that these entire dungeons are recreated and not just the final fight. I think a part of what makes like Mount Olympus, Atlantia, and Tartarus so much fun isn't just the final fight. I think it actually feels like an immersive area with, like, you know, a lot of mythology that they can pull from. You know, they have a lot of Greek mythology to pull from, so there's all these characters that you can fight. It feels like a goddamn Odyssey, and the drops, especially when we were talking about the level that they dropped, were crazy. This era of Wiz was nuts. We had extremely rare amulet drops like the Amulet of Divine. They added exalted mastery amulets that were also relatively hard to get. Beating Atlantia as level 70 or Tartarus as level 90, it wasn't easy, and it was definitely not something that you could do, you know, overnight. Like, you know, maybe you would actually have to take a couple of cracks at it, and then you would have a strategy that worked. I hope that they attempt to recreate that. I don't just want the final fights like a Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades fight, and then that's it, because I feel like that actually takes away a lot from what made Aquila so good. So I think that's one thing right away I hope they consider. I hope that it feels more like Nightmare Challenge mode, which was an entire dungeon that was actually redone. Will they add a timer to this type of stuff like they did with the Nightmare? Who knows? Maybe that would be too much. But if they're really going to revisit it, I hope they also revisit the feeling that people had when they went through these dungeons. That immersive, I'm going from point A to point B for an actual objective in this mythical world type vibe. Now, the other thing, this is honestly more of a pipe dream, but it would be really, really cool if maybe in revisiting Mount Olympus or something, we take a detour and actually explore parts of Aquila that still have no explanation. The big one is this dragon looking dude. This still has had no fleshing out whatsoever. I believe that the lore of this is that there's a dragon that guards a tree of golden apples, and that's why there's a symbol on this door with golden apples, a dragon as a guardian. I've always thought that they should revisit this, and if they're going to be adding a challenge mode, who knows, maybe instead of just reskinning everything as a level 170, you know, experience with a bunch of maybe new cheats, maybe they could also try to, like, you know, make a detour in Mount Olympus so we go left and encounter this dragon. That would be ridiculous if they could do that. I'm not exaggerating this. There's a lot of people that want an actual fight against this dragon because of how many years it's been in here with no explanation. That would be a really, really cool thing that they could do if they're actually going to be revamping beyond just, you know, just reskinning everything into 170 basically. As far as the actual rewards, they're talking about new spoils. If it isn't just a reskin version of gear and it's actually a new gear template, I'm already mad happy. But let's say they want to make things more unique. There's a real chance they might actually revisit all the Wrath of spells as well. I think this is another non-fleshed out part of Aquila that a lot of people constantly talk about, like they want more done with it. This is something that probably not a lot of people even know about, but there's basically a jewel for every school that's based on, you know, the gods of Aquila. And some of them, I think, most people would argue would actually have to be reworked so that they make a little bit more sense. Like a bomb dot that's 3 rounds for death isn't really anything relating to the identity of death that they built whatsoever. It's a cool spell, but I'm sure they can make a 9-pip death spell a lot better. It would be really cool if they revisited these as well. Maybe added them as item cards on the gear that you get so we could start seeing them and actually make them correspond to what schools are meant to do these days. I think that that would be absolutely massive. I still think the really big key at the end of the day is that they don't just treat this like they've treated challenge mode in the past, which I'm not trying to, like, you know, be negative or anything, but I just feel like the bosses that they've chosen to add to challenge mode, these aren't like necessarily super iconic bosses. Like Grandfather Spider maybe, but like I don't really think these are dungeons or experiences that people have in their mind, especially when they're talking about the nostalgia they felt. I think they're just simply too recent. Aquila was one of the most goated periods ever, so I really hope that they actually work with what makes it unique. I had a lot of drops that relate to Aquila. I think if they want to make this a slam dunk, I think they should try to recreate the amulet of divine, you know, like aesthetic, but maybe with a mastery amulet that gives stats, maybe with something else that you could really see yourself farming this for. I would love to see that because it was such a flex back in the day. I feel like PvE is really missing rare drops. I feel like everyone wants a pity system, but as long as something isn't game breaking, I don't think it needs a pity system. It could just be something that you farm something a lot for. This is looking to be a pretty packed update already, y'all. It's looking like they're going to be adding a Lemuria raid already. They're going to be revamping a bunch of Aquila dungeons. We're probably going to be getting a new gear set, and who knows what other unique drops from Aquila. If they get creative with it, I think this might be the first summer since the Darkmoor update where it feels like we actually got multiple massive dungeons to run at max level. That's something that I don't think we've had in a while. I really hope it feels like a bunch of new dungeons and not just a bunch of new fights. That's the one thing that I'm really hoping for. But I definitely wanted to, you know, give credit to how good Aquila was before in talking about this teaser and inform y'all of the teaser to begin with. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts and comments on this. Do y'all feel like parts of Aquila feel unfinished like I do? Like the spells that we never got more clarity on, the dungeons that we never got with characters that are out in the open. And what do you guys think about the recreating of like the amulet of divine and PvE? Do y'all think an insanely rare drop that a bunch of people farm a long time for? Do you guys think that's compatible with modern Wiz? Who knows how many of these things are actually going to be doing with challenge mode? I just hope that they go crazy just because of how cool this world is. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments on this, man. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what y'all are excited about in the summer update. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.